I use these tactics in Division 1 seasons online, and I use it so many times that I actually won so many games using these tactics. So I recommend you to try and watch this video until the end. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to use Manchester City with Pep Guardiola's real-life tactics that won them the Premier League trophy and become the English champion. And I'm gonna explain as simple and brief as possible so that you don't get headaches, because Pep's tactics is just a little bit complicated. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it simple. And now let's just get started. Let's go. Okay, so now I'm gonna explain about the tactics, and if you don't like the players that I'm currently using, for example, if you want to put Aguero as the striker, it's up to you as well. It's totally fine. The tactics, the strategies are still going to be the same. But for me personally, I want to put Raheem Sterling because he's the best one for this squad, and he's gonna do a very great job as a striker. Trust me, I've tried this before. And now let's go to the formation. The formation 4-3-3 holding, defensive style balance with 5 bars, depth 5 bars. The reason why I put defensive style balance because they can do all kinds of defensive style. They can press the opponents high up, and they can also park the bus. But most of the time in the real life, Manchester City tends to press the opponents very high up. That's why I put the defensive style of balance. And the reason why I put 5 bars for the width and the depth is because that's the most balanced one as well. So the most balanced defense is the best one in playing FIFA. Trust me, I've experienced this before, and you're gonna do a very great job in putting the defensive settings like this. And now let's go to the offensive style. Possession with 5 bars, possessive box 5 bars as well. Corners 3 bars, free kicks 3 bars. For Pep Guardiola, possession is everything. That's why I put the offensive style on possession. Pep Guardiola once said that when you have the ball, your opponent will not be able to attack you at all. So that's why he always prioritizes possession. That's why I want you to play Man City, focus more on possession most of the time, trying to prevent your opponents to snatch the ball from you easily. That's the most important one. So just play possession, trust me, with 5 bars, place your ball 5 bars because that's the most balanced one as well. And now let's go to the instructions. For the keeper, come for crosses and sweeper keeper. And for center backs, it's going to be all default, no changes. Okay, all default, no changes. For the wing backs, it's going to be all default as well. Kyle Walker, all default as well. And the reason why I put all default because Man City, the wing backs, they can play overlap, they can also play inverted. Okay, the same goes to the right back, overlap, inverted. But most of the time in the real life, they tend to go inverted, so they can play more like a defensive midfielder. That's why I put the instructions on default. But if you want to put the round type on inverted for both of them, that is also perfectly fine as well. But for me personally, I want to put it all on default because that's the most balanced one. Now for the DM, Rodri is going to be stay back while attacking and half center because most of the time Rodri is going to be playing on the center most of the time, just like in the real life, because his job is also to play as a center back, and he is the one who is responsible in building up attacks from the back. So every time you want to attack, it always starts from Rodri, and Rodri is going to pass the ball to Foden, to Mahrez, to Gundogan, to Kevin De Bruyne, or even to Sterling. Long pass, short passes, he's gonna do all of it. So Rodri is the most important player in this team. So that's why I put the instructions stay back while attacking. That's the best one. And half center because he plays much more comfortable on the center, and he tends to stay that way on that position most of the time in the real life as well. And now let's go to Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne. Get forward and free roam. Okay, the same goes to Kevin De Bruyne. Get forward and free roam. And the reason why I put get forward for both Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne is because the way they play Man City, the attacking midfielders tends to go up and down on this position like this, up and down like this. They always tend to go into the box to play as a striker to help the main striker to score goals. The same for Kevin De Bruyne, he's going to go into the box as well, trying to score goals. That's the reason why I put both of them as get forward. So for the instructions, get forward is the most important one for both of them. I put them on free roam, both of them. And this is also very important because of the way the attacking midfielders play in Manchester City. For example, when Foden is trying to cut inside and Mahrez is trying to cut inside, Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne will cover their position as the temporary winger. So let's say for example Foden is cutting inside, Gundogan is going to be the one who play as the temporary winger on this position while Foden is cutting inside. The same goes to De Bruyne, he's going to play as the winger when Mahrez is cutting inside. It's that simple actually. So that's why I put both of them, the instructions get forward and free roam, get forward and free roam. And now let's go to the wingers, stay wide and get behind. Foden, the same to Mahrez as well, stay wide and get behind. And this is also very important because Pep Guardiola always want his wingers to play wide. That's why I put the instructions on stay wide. And the reason for them staying wide is because it will attract the center backs on the center. It will attract them to mark the wingers on the overlap, and that will create spaces on the center and here on this position, so that Sterling, Gundogan and De Bruyne will have a much better chances in attacking when the wingers are staying wide, because their role is to play as a distraction for your opponent's defense. That's why staying wide for Pep Guardiola is very important. Stay wide for both of them. And the second reason is because Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne will get into the box like this, and Kevin De Bruyne, and for the wingers to stay wide will prevent themselves from disturbing the attacking fielders Gundogan and De Bruyne when they are trying to get into the box for cross and get behind, because wingers has also an important role to play counter attack. Foden and Mahrez have decent speed. That's why getting behind is the best one when you get the ball from the defensive third, trying to get the chance to run as fast as possible into the final third to find the chances to score goals immediately. So just put getting behind for Foden and Mahrez as well, getting behind, because that's the best one. And now let's go to Sterling. Sterling is going to be all default. The reason why I put it like this, because Sterling is going to play as a false 9 striker. When Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne is going to the box, Sterling will hold the ball right here to attract the center backs to come into the front to mark Sterling, and there will be more attacking chances for Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne to get into the box much easier for both of them when Sterling is attracting the center backs to go into the front to mark Sterling. That's the reason why I want you to play Sterling as a false 9 striker, because Pep Guardiola always wants his striker to play as a false 9 to have a much better ball possession on the midfield. And yeah, that's it for the tactics.